How you doing, Judith? Everyone's good. Thank you. You're ready to check in.
I didn't. Okay, went to church.
I'll get there. Yeah.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Ashik Patel. I'm president of your Thursday Rotary Club, and I help welcoming you to our last session in April. We'll take a moment and just be present for each other and take a breath. So start with just unplugging from outside and be present in fellowship with each other. Breathe in peace and calm and ethics. Have to add it a little bit. And be mindful of the needs of the world and what Rotarians can do to make a positive difference locally and nationally, internationally. Today, the theme for this month to wrap up, and today's program is also reinforcing the role of environment in the life of moms and children. So not only a safe environment, but a clean environment, ethical environment, and one that thrives and creates a garden that flourishes. And Suzanne knows best about Master Garden. Someone help me with the four-way test, Audrey?
Sure. I'll just do it from here. Of all the things we think, say, or do, first is the truth. Second is the fair for all concerned. Third, what fails and well and precious. Fourth, will be beneficial to all concerned.
And fifth,
Is
is it fun? Thank you. Reflection, I will take a survey. Did anyone sign up for reflection? So if not, I have a playback or a throwback from 2012. You'll hear 2012 is a special time because that was the year Lilia Maroafe and myself met to talk about this Guatemala project that we'll hear more about. But in 2012, Phil Carcel also did invocation or reflection. And I think it's appropriate if I resurrect that, no pun intended, for Phil. So on March 8, 1865, President Abraham Lincoln delivered his second inaugural address, a month short of the Confederate surrender ending the Civil War, the second most costly war in terms of human life the U.S. has ever fought, and 2 months short of President Lincoln's death. The nation was deeply divided with regards to issues of economics, equality, individual rights, and prejudice. Feelings were high, obviously to the point of armed conflict, among people of all stripes on both sides. And in Lincoln's words, all reading the same Bible, praying to the same God, and invoking his aid against the other. In the space of a short few minutes, the president rehearsed the events leading to and playing out in the war. With no recriminations and no call for retribution, he appealed to the nation to come together and move forward peacefully as one, ending with this thought: with malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives us the right to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds, to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan, to do all which may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations. It seems to me that in a parallel context today, we find ourselves ideologically deeply divided, not only as a nation, but as a world, polarized to the point of intransience over issues of economics, equality, individual rights, and yes, prejudice. We would do well, all of us, to listen to, ponder, and embody Lincoln's words. And Phil Carcel is one of my greatest mentors and heroes with respect to medicine and being a Rotarian. Thank you. On a happier note and thoughts, we'll pass around. Jim, do you want to do it, or Suzanne, do you want to pass the happy bucks? So this is just our celebration. If anyone has money and thoughts that they'd like to celebrate, please go ahead.
Okay. All right. Oh, I'm gonna put some happy bucks on the wall. I was a teacher, I just couldn't talk loud. Okay, I started this with my happy bucks because two of my former colleagues are here to speak to us today. I taught for 30 years at our CTC, and I taught with both of these our speakers, and so I'm happy that they're here today to be part of our program. Okay, anybody else? Got some people over here. Okay, John.
I'm putting a happy buck in because the Minnesota Twins have now won 3 games in a row.
It's against the White Sox.
I'm sure in a few happy bucks because we have moved. We haven't been here for a while, so we've missed many of you. There's probably some new members here that we haven't met. The moving is going reasonably well, but one of the more difficult transitions we've ever made in our life, even though we moved to Rochester 4 times and a lot of other places in the world. But anyway, pleased to be here. Good to see you. Good to see old friends. Thank you.
All right. I'm so overjoyed that you guys are here to give a talk about this, that I'm floating. Happy bucks, yeah, overjoyed bucks. All right. So Audrey?
I'm throwing happy bucks. My youngest is graduating from college next weekend.
You might have put money in for each of the grands and the great grands. I know the Southern Post Bulletin Rochester Public Schools is changing how they teach literacy in Rochester Public Schools. I read in the, well, I've started for years, I've read in either kindergarten, first grade classrooms. They need to change how they teach literacy in the public schools.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, now.
My happy bucks is for my grandson Jackson. He's competing this week up in Plymouth, Minnesota to hopefully be in the top hockey school in the entire country. So hopefully he'll make it.
Wow. Great goal. Okay, good. Awesome. Anybody else? Okay.
I'll wrap up with you.
There we go. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. We're almost at $1,000, which was our goal for this year, and we just started in January. I put happy bucks for both the privilege of sharing our 10-year project on Guatemala's improving indoor air quality with Lillian, Dawn, and Lori, who isn't able to make it. I also want to celebrate my daughter's graduation. Angela's from St. Louis University, and she'll be finishing med school and then starting family medicine, which is a good time to celebrate and a good time to transition. And we love Seattle too. Thank you. All right, we have two Paul Harris Fellows extra pins. So in our presence today is Sarah, and I'd like to honor you with your +4 pin. Just stand beside me, that'd be great. And in picture is Barry Amadio, who is not going to be present till Tuesday to receive her pin, and I'll give her that off cycle, but to know she got a +5 as well. Then I went to, because Allie's not here traditionally to do this, Audrey, do you want to come up here and be past president, or is it okay to change the rules? So I'm going to read a little bit just to stay ethical and compliant. The presentation of Paul Harris Fellow +4 recognition to Sarah Gilliland in our club is Rotary Foundation's way of expressing its appreciation for a substantial contribution to its humanitarian and educational programs. It is named for Rotary's founder, a Chicago lawyer who started our organization with 3 business associates in 1905. A world of peace and goodwill comes closer to reality today as Sarah Gilliland becomes a +4 Paul Harris Fellow. The gift of $1,000 to Rotary's Foundation Education and Humanitarian Programs is a commitment to peace, and also, as you'll see on the posters, ethics and peace building for a better life for all of us and the members of our club. It is because of such gifts that Rotary Foundation can continue to carry out an array of programs that achieves benefits around the world, improving living conditions, increased food production and security, better education at all levels, wider availability for treatment and rehabilitation, as well as prevention of sickness and wellness around the world, new channels for international understanding, hopefully goodwill and innovation, and then better hopes for peace and ethics. So in becoming a +4 Paul Harris Fellow, Sarah joins a remarkable company of persons throughout the world and also in our club. I think Allie said 465 or 67 members now have this recognition. You are recognized, Sarah, for your devotion to the ideal of goodwill, peace, and understanding, the goal of Rotarians the world over, and one that Paul Harris clearly also shares.
Thank you.
Sarah, give you the extra privilege of putting it on.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Let's see, do we have Lee present or online? So we'll make a formal tribute with Lee Johnson's awareness, but for those of you who know Nick Colas, he was in our club and he passed away. So just a moment of silence and a few quiet breaths for Nick. Thank you. Audrey, would you mind sharing a little bit about your Shark Tank proposal coming up? Thank you.
Okay. So, our club is taking the lead, but we do have representatives from other clubs as well, on a district grant project that, we're gonna go for Shark Tank dollars for early in May. So, this water project actually started with a vacation. Last fall, I went to Tanzania. And, go ahead and go to the next one. And what we saw was people and animals sharing the same water source and carrying these, buckets. They're filling their water there and hauling them back. And so as part of the, tour that we were on, go ahead and go to the next one. We were introduced to this nonprofit called Wine to Water. And they build these filters that you can see in the pictures. There's a filter being built. There's it in a plastic bucket when it's done. And these ceramic filters clean the water. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see the before and the after. Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And so when I was there, I said to the nonprofit, "If you guys partner with Rotary?" It's like, "You should be." And they said, "No, we're not." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna do something about that when I get home." So we did have the opportunity to deliver the filters. We went, these are members of a Maasai tribe, that we, near Arusha, that we got to actually, so what they did is we were able to donate. So when we went on a tour, we could donate, we could buy some filters, and then at the end of the tour, we actually met with the people who were getting the filters, which was a really great experience. So that's what we're doing here. Go ahead. So after the trip, we came back and said, okay, we need to do something about this. This is something, there's already infrastructure on the ground. We don't have to build that. How can we support their work? And so what we did is we put a small team together. Who's on the team from our club is Stuart and me. From the Risers, April Suter, and then Mary Wellick, who used to be a member of our club and is the retired director of public health for Olmsted County. She's on that committee as well. And then we reached out to Wine to Water and said, "What do you need in Tanzania?" And they came back with their greatest need being transportation. Because right now, to deliver the filters, to go out and build relationships into some of these bomas or villages, they have to rent vehicles every time they go anywhere. And so they don't have access to a vehicle. So they said that was their greatest need. So we're applying to the district for a $20,000 grant to get them a vehicle. And so that's our next step. So we've been working with the grants committee. Judy's been absolutely, I apologize for not mentioning, Judy's also on the committee. She's been guiding us through the whole process of going through the district grants. And so we're doing that. We're going to go for the May 8th as our date to present on Shark Tank. And then we'll put in a full grant at the end of May, I have to get my dates right, end of May, and we'll hopefully hear something shortly thereafter. So our club can be matched up to $3,000. So if our club gives $3,000 toward the Tanzania project, the district will match it dollar for dollar. So every dollar matters. If anybody else wants to be involved in this project, let me know. Any questions?
Audrey, is each of the three clubs trying to do 3,000 or is it 3,000 there?
Well, we haven't met with the committee yet. We're hoping the committees, the three clubs each give us some amount of dollars. Judy can probably speak to that.
Right now, we are sitting on $9,000. Each of the three clubs has $9,000 in their budget. And so we haven't spent it. We're getting to the end of the year. Looks like a good time. I think they could decide what they want to do, each of them, like, we can say, well, we'll do our about 3,000 and give it our 2,000 or 150, I don't know, whatever. Somebody will do that. The meeting will be the second Wednesday in the month, is when that one meets. It'll be afterwards.
Yeah, it's actually the same day, Judy.
She doesn't have to have the money.
Yeah, at the first of the Shark Tank, we don't have to have the money, but we'll have to have a budget put together by the end of May. So hopefully if we get some Shark Tank dollars, and by then the Rochester Grants Committee will commit to, we'll know how much more we have to fundraise for. Yes, Edna.
People do want to donate where, how.
Yeah, anybody wants to donate, you can donate to our club community foundation, and just make sure you put it for this project, and then it will go in with Judy's money, and we'll be able to designate it there.
But we have a max of 3,000 for our club,
Correct.
but each of the other clubs could get 3,000.
Yeah. So if we get, if each of the clubs does promise 3,000, we're at 18, and hopefully Shark Tank will take us over the top. That would be great. John?
How many villages were in the village?
How many, I don't have a great answer for how many. It depends on, they were relatively, the Boma that we visited was pretty small. Under 200 people.
My purpose of the question is, the plumbing that is so out.
Sure.
That filters look like they're probably only good for a panel.
They are. Those filters are only good for a family. And so the Wine to Water not only does filters, but they also do full sanitation systems. But those are a lot more money than we're going to be able to raise. So they do it on various different levels. But yeah. Yes.
Well, maybe somewhat along the same line, what is the scope? Is this a village, a province? What is the size of the population that's going to benefit from this? And the other part, what's the durability? Filters show up.
Yeah.
Is there a plan for the continuity of filter?
Yeah, the filters last about 5 years. Yeah, the filters last 5 years.
Where's all this stuff from?
Well, they do have to clean them. Yeah, but yes, they do last 5 years. Yeah. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Audrey, and please support as you're able. Vicky, do you want to come up and share your Danish experience? And I have to go answer a page, so do you want to just stay up and moderate?
Sure. Whatever, we can wing it with the best of them. So the Rotary Danish Dinner, we've been advertising for about a couple months now. That's coming up Saturday. We have room for 25 people. I only have 13 people at this point coming. So we'll be here for you. So if you have any interest in coming, it's Saturday night at our house from 5 to 7. Tia and Terry and I are cooking it. We've been trying menus out in all our neighbors for the last few weeks. It's been mostly really good. We treat some of the food, but if you have any interest in coming, let me know, please, so we save a spot for you. Also, we only raised $1,300 so far, which is great, but I was really hoping to get close to that 2,000 mark for Tia. This is to fund her East Coast trip where they go over basically about the history of the US, which I think is really important for our exchange students to know that. So if you'd also like to make a donation towards Tia's trip, just see me today after the meeting, because we're still taking donations for that. And then another quick note, I put some of these on the table, kind of more of a save the date. We are doing a rotation day, an all club rotation day at UMR. It is the Thursday Memorial Weekend, so maybe some people will be out of town, but you will register just like a regular meeting. But we are going to do bring your own lunch, kind of a brown bag, because we don't have a budget for lunches anymore for rotation day. So bring your own lunch. There's directions out here. Feel free to take these, and I'll bring more for the next meeting. And if you have a guest, significant other that would like to come with you, some that would like to learn more about UMR, the Chancellor Laura Carroll will be speaking, and I think we'll do a tour afterwards. So again, kind of mark the date, get that in your head, and then we'll be sure to sign up just like we regularly do. Okay, where are we at? April birthdays. We've got Ingrid Neal, April 8th, Zoe Jansen, April 13th, Marilyn Dealing, April 16th. And let's see, go to the anniversaries too at the same time. Anniversaries, we've got Doug Bowling, 34 years, Ashok Patel, when it comes back in, 19 years, and Mark Tripp's 21 years. Let's celebrate our birthdays and anniversaries. I don't know if I got any notes on this or not, so
I can do a quick one.
yeah, Audrey, come up and tell about this.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We had 13 people show up last Thursday for our Mapping Prejudice project, so great job, everybody. We will continue to do our Mapping Prejudice project on the third Thursday here, right here. So bring your laptop, bring your iPhone, bring your iPad, whatever device, whatever mobile device you want to bring, we can do it online. Phil Wheeler is going to be with us again our next time we meet in May. So we'll continue to scan through deeds. We'll provide more training. So if anybody wasn't there at the first session, we'll still run you through the training to get you going on it. So don't let that stop you from coming. Thank you.
All right, we've got the conference of clubs coming up on May 4th. Who is going to that one to represent us? Do you know?
I know the Dave Mortel.
Dave Mortel's going, okay. So we're our project, our ethics and peace building, and Sarah, you were part of that. We're doing a presentation on that at the club thing.
Yeah, I just want to call your attention to the posters that are over by the wall. Those are the posters that we'll bring to the May 4th celebration of clubs at the district level about the project. And then do we have time for one story from the ethics day that we held? It was an awesome day at John Marshall High School. We had 66 students for the day. We had 8 faculty members and 9 or 11 Rotarians. So a lot of activity. I just want to tell a story about the end of the day. In the third poster there, you'll see the John Marshall principal holding a bouquet of red balloons. When the students returned after lunch, we had red balloons at each table. And the closing activity was the students were to think about ethics, think about peace building, think about a problem that was important to them, and write on a note card what the problem was, and write on the back of the card what they envisioned if the world were perfect, what a solution would be. Well, all of that's a great kind of thought-provoking activity. One young man at one table who had been a character throughout the day couldn't resist. You know how kids like to suck in the helium from a balloon? Well, Nathaniel couldn't resist doing that. So he accomplished that. And then, of course, the balloon was wrecked. But rather than do a shame and blame at the table, the Rotarian facilitator and the other high school students at the table said, how do we make this into something that kind of portrays the day? So they took masking tape and they taped together the balloon. And then they talked to Nathaniel through, what does this kind of exercise demonstrate? And Nathaniel got up in front of a room of 70-some people and said, well, I guess a red balloon that's still inflated kind of represents a world that's at peace and a world that's ethical and people can live up. And a balloon that's broken kind of represents when something isn't right, something isn't contributing to peace. And for Nathaniel to, kind of go from that character to standing up in front of the room was one of those moments in the room that really made the day worthwhile. So thanks for your support.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for both being an ambassador for peace as well as promoting ethics at the level of youth and our community. I had two thoughts about streams of thought that went with helium. One is it does bring fun if you squeak about it the right way. And the other is it is an element of the periodic table. And one other element that's on the table that we actually have a international project challenge to is lithium. So as I make the segue with streams of thought, Dave Mortel is going to serve as our pickup person for any spare lithium batteries that are unused or you want to recycle. If you bring those to the next meeting on May 2nd or May 9th, to our speaker program meeting, and then also for May 23rd. He'll collect all that, and that'll give us a complete 10 out of 10 for the checklist that District Governor Patricia McLeese has wanted for making peace visible. So bring in even one battery and we'll meet the needs of the checklist. But Dave Mortel will be grateful and he'll have a container. Now, I think just stay within reason about what he can carry out of here. So, smaller size lithium batteries. Thank you. White Oak Park, thank you, Joseph, for John and Joseph for showing up and keeping that area very clean and no money this time. There wasn't any extra $100 bills, but it is clean. Sue, you live nearby, right? Yeah, and I think the neighborhoods appreciate it. The kids that use the soccer fields and the baseball fields and practice really enjoy it too. So thank you so much. The next session will be the third Wednesday of May. And finally, at Rochester Fest, Christine, we're on the way. I'm going to pick up another 40 buttons today. The Live Your Dream is the theme, and the buttons are going to go on sale in May for $5. They'll give you bargains across the city. And again, we want to bring the community together. We want to really welcome and make the sense of belonging and safety a priority for our community. Thank you. Chris, are you here? Chris, Kobe, or Colin? They aren't here, but on your table is the sign up for the landscape project, which is at Quarry Hill. It is an effort in this phase to just clean up the buckthorn, and next year we'll plant the new seedling. So if you can help with the month's theme of environmental cleanup and be part of that, please sign up. And Chris and Colin are the contact people. Pam Meyer is the person coordinating the event at Quarry Hill. And what's that? Marilyn, come on up.
Yeah, I'll be very quick. So our next Jeremiah Cook for Kids is coming up less than 4 weeks away, 3 weeks from next Tuesday evening. So any way that you can donate would be greatly appreciated, whether you're actually going to come and serve the meal there or fix a main dish or bring some fruits and veggies or plan a child family activity. or even just contribute a gallon of milk. It's all needed, all important. I have the sign-up sheet with me. I'll hang around a little bit after the meeting if you want to look at it and choose to sign up for anything. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Marilyn. All right, I couldn't help but put a plug in for Mariana and her great work on running the version 2 of our mentoring program. Here's a picture with her mother, and then on the phone there displayed are her siblings and relatives out in Mexico. She did get matched in a residency program at Vanderbilt University, and we're going to miss her as part of our club, but hopefully she'll remain and expand her Rotarian heart and ways as she moves to Vanderbilt. So for today's special program, it's my honor and privilege to really bring Judy O'Fallon into the limelight along with her very special instructors and my teachers, Don Baldus, Lillian Arroyabe, and Lori Halverson-Wemke. In this picture from several years ago, it's you can see Michael Fallon and Judy O'Fallon next to Zoe and a few other familiar faces, some that have gone to the other side for us to cheer on. Mike has been a district governor and
He didn't make it, but he was
an assistant district governor, and he was really a beacon, not only of a smile and his personality, but also to motivate the expertise and reputation of the biostatistics epidemiology section at Mayo Clinic and around the world. Their son, Liam O'Fallon, has been an advisor to us on this project that I'm going to get a little more detail. And you can see all the other stellar Rotarians, and I'm not sure what the big medal is, but
It's the National Medal from the library.
the National Medal from the library. So the library is a connector for many of us. We'll take a moment just to pause because this is a tribute to the O'Fallons as well as the value of education in the context of environmental. So there's no easy way to go through 40 slides and tell you the full story, but on your tables is a one-pager that describes what we attempted to do over the last 12 years in a region of Guatemala that looks really beautiful in the San Lucas region. And this is a place since 2012 where our Spanish instruction teacher, William, took students to really encourage them to get into the nitty-gritty of what it means to be part of the culture and what are the social ways of learning and developing community. In her 7+ years of being with these students, she realized that there was a lot of opportunity to improve indoor air quality. And the solution was brought up by the community as a need that Rotary could respond to. So the project started in its infancy in 2012 when Lillian and I met at the World Fair that Rotary or Rochester hosts every year in the school. And we decided to explore the possibilities of how to improve indoor air quality. So next. We came up with a hypothesis that education and empowerment is one of the ways to make a difference and build community. In this picture, you can see Lillian exploring with community members and educators, moms, health promoters, and anyone who cared to listen, what it meant to improve the air quality indoors and then sustain the change. Next. So this is meant to be small because I don't want you to read too much into the detail, but this is what official scholarly reports look like, and it's really hard to get into nitty gritty. The basic point of this program is, and the grant was to install vented cooking stoves to improve the indoor air quality. We did 25 in a preliminary way and then 210 by the end of 2022. We then also needed to train people how to take care of the stoves, what to use for wood fuel, and make healthy choices and sustain the improved quality. So we did that with training 1,000 members, both family members, and health promoters, and then educators. We brought equipment, we showed them how to use data, and they were stellar in giving us change. So this is the summary slide. It's in more detail. We'll go over more of the picture version and the stories that I think will make more of an impact. And I'd love for Lillian and Don also to share their perspectives. So just a little bit on the grant trail, as Audrey pointed out with the Tanzania project. Judy, you are a saint. You have not only served with the integrity and the vigilance it takes to complete all these forms, but also to keep us rigorous with how we use the data and what we're going to tell about this, more than a marketing strategy to keep the project going. This project, as I said, RCTC was critical to giving time for Lillian and Don, who also is now a retired math teacher, but went to visit these areas that we're going to talk about. And you can see with the initial grant of $7,000 from the district, we were able to install 25 stoves and move from the unvented pits that you see in this slide to, next slide. Thanks. So we have, I'll show you a picture of what the vented slide cooking setup looks like in a second. So there was $7,000 for that initial investment in the 25 stoves, and then we wrote the global grant that was a matching grant at the district level and with international funds. And for your investment from the club level, we were able to get $55,800 as a grant. And with that, we installed those 210 stoves. You can see the engagement of the health workers, the mothers in understanding, and the lights went on, right, Lillian, of how to use their fuel more efficiently, which type of wood to burn, what not to burn in the stoves, and then the quality of cooking, the respiratory symptoms that improved their red eyes, the cough was all improved in that 2-year feasibility phase. We want to back up one. So active listening, that's a great skill for all of us, but it was really important to know how to build trust, how to communicate, not just in English, which is what we were comfortable with, but double translation into Spanish and then into their local dialect. It's really important to listen with your whole presence and then to actually follow up to make sure the messages were read. And I wish Celeste was here because she'd tell us how to do that better with Toastmasters. All right. And then even the men got involved. So this is targeted at maternal and child health, but when they were seeing how the women were engaged and empowered, they realized that it was important for them to support the culture change and bring in the village leaders and those influencers to sustain change, especially as we went from pre-COVID through COVID to post-COVID. So empowered leaders came after we educated, engaged the frontline people who were using the stove, which is the moms, and the safety measures that they had. So I can't put it into their words, but Lillian, if you'd like to come up and just share a little bit about what these training sessions meant to the people that you connected with and how you used visual pictorial communication as a way to keep it simple and impactful. Would you like to come up and just share a few thoughts?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. Oh, you gotta get the. Thank you for the opportunity, and not only that, for making so many families, especially moms and children, breathing better. I'm Colombian, so for me, what will be the closeout for this particular project? In addition to provide them the stoves, it is basically empowering these ladies that were before. So in the history of Latin America, and not only Latin America, but Africa and many other places around the world, the effects of colonization still is present today. So all the big powers come to our countries and teach us or tell us what will be a better way to lead our lives or to change projects that we are doing. But and many times fail to sometimes observe the indigenous population that has been doing that for centuries and possible better ways that maybe we could think that technology could do it. So in the case of San Lucas and this legacy, possible, I don't know if you could go to the previous one. Yes, for example, here. What the activity here was training the trainer, right? But they were actually telling us we cannot really cook in these pans with 3 pieces of wood that was supposed the suggestions or our suggestions, right? So was the first time that somebody in all these different projects actually listened to these ladies in a way, or at least that's what was combined to us, right? So then we take that information and change it the following day, bring it back, and they were really, oh wow, yeah, they are paying attention to us. They took our recommendations and make it happen. So from there, they were so proud, they were so, how do you say that, inspired that we really give the respect that they deserve for their knowledge, their practice, and what they do. And these were really innate leaders. So for me, this is a more, how you call it, sustainable or more lasting effect of the project. That these ladies that are the health promoter of each village of Presence and Lucas NGO, right? They are going to be able to apply these skills in any project that they have, right? Because they have an issue with water as well. They have many, many different issues, right? So from the learning experience of how to actually train their own communities in their own languages and explaining to them what is the importance of why we cannot burn what would be what the garbage, right? That all the toxins, right? So from my colleagues and Don could add more. For me, that is more the sustainable, how you say, effect of this. Because the stoves will last 10 years if they are cared properly and there are no hurricanes and many other things. But this knowledge that these community health workers have will happen with them for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Lillian. And again, reinforcing the role of the trainer and how you then set up a project that allows sustainability to emerge from the empowerment of the people who actually create and identify the problem. So contracts were created just because that's what administration wants. And these were contracts that were initially informal, but just to have some level of sustaining the intervention and then having the families take ownership. So this was initially in English and we converted it to a culturally appropriate way. That was a process in itself. And it was basically a commitment by the families that they will look after the stove. So maybe we can do that with the Tanzania grant too. And then through the shared discovery of taking care of the family, which were about 5 per home, you expanded, you had a force multiplier effect on what healthy lungs look like, what health means, not only for safety, but preventing burns around kids falling into the fire pits and things, but also choice of wood, which impacted deforestation principles and the quality of the wood that was used. So contracts are important. You can start informal. Mayo Clinic start with a handshake, but ultimately, if there's some reporting that has to be done to other clubs and other communities, it's good to have some structure like that. Feedback on the survey was important. Again, as Olivia mentioned, every cycle was a learning process and became an improvement. So not just learning how to use and create better stove design, but also how to use better wood. And we hope this literacy transformation and the process of training the trainer can be codified and embedded in the other ways that Rotary makes a difference. Next. So debrief, just like every meeting we have here, we reflect afterwards. What did we learn? What are we going to do with this new information? We did that within the Guatemala project as well. Next. So these are some pictures. These are stages at which we were able to show how the wood use would prevent deforestation, and then what that means in terms of quality of living and vision health in general. Okay. So again, just continuous improvement is part of our solution. Next. Yeah, here's an example of a new stove. So these are installed. It's now about less than that, $200 per stove installation. They would take out the old one, they would put this one in, and then the maintenance, average maintenance for repair. Don, you would want to come up and share a little bit about what you discovered during the maintenance phase for the stove and what kind of custom solutions came with that. So just focus on the stove for a second.
Thank you, Dr. Patel. Thank you, the Rotary Club, for your participation in this grant. And I want to mention that it was so important throughout this grant, especially since it was through the COVID years where we couldn't actually get down to Guatemala to have Lillian, who has such an awareness of Latin American culture. And that was so instrumental. I bet you made over 1,000 phone calls back to check on how things are going and so on and follow up and things. But that was so important. And this, as this slide shows, one of the things through our feedback sessions that we found out, we were advocating 3 pieces of wood is all you need to get this fire going. And almost in unison, all the women shook their head and said, no, 5 pieces of wood. So we had to change. That was one of the iterations that our posters went through, from 3 to 5 pieces of wood. So we've been involved with building stoves probably for 10 years there. And the original stoves that they built there, we participated in building a few, but mostly it was the masons down there that were hired to build the stoves. Because of the fact that they have earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and things like this in Guatemala, The ground is often not even, it shifts a little bit, and so it's difficult to keep these stoves working. Every time we went back, we would have to check on the stoves and make some repairs. But the final design then has gone through several different models. So now they found that by putting rebar in the concrete, all the materials are right there in the village, so it helps the different vendors in Guatemala are in San Lucas, because we buy the materials right from them. But by putting rebar, reinforcing that, and then we had problems where because they have corrugated roofs, and often this is rusted, old corrugated steel that they're using, and this cement pipe would go up through it. It was hard to get that sealed. So, and then if the wind blew, it might just knock the whole thing over. So that took a lot of work to get that fixed. And that was one of our main complaints when we went back and talked to the people, is that, oh, it leaks and it puts the fire out and so on. But once we finally got that fixed. So anyway, we're pretty happy with that final design, but they're still doing small tweaks to it. And we are always in touch with them about what other changes we can make. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. And, we're short on time, so I'm going to just move to 3 extra points. So next slide. COVID was a big barrier to both health communication and travel, and we respected that. We did lose one of our workers from exposure with COVID, and again, it's a risk on all sides. Who's prepared to go into homes, and what do we do with risk management? I was really sensitive to all that as we did our due diligence up here to wear masks, and we are blessed to have so much resource, but what do you do in under-resourced countries, and what's the ethical standard for countries who have resources to deliver and support change? And this is a crucial conversation at all levels. Next. We had Dr. Toon and the Ministry of Health engaged in the safety aspects, and you can see here social distancing was involved. As Lillian mentioned, we were trying to communicate and make sure our standards here were applied as safely as possible to the grant project. So again, adapting our Train the Trainer program to meet the risks of COVID was also instrumental. And Lori Halverson, who isn't here, helped put some of these pictures together and is a really important part to our program. So sustainable education is possible even through COVID, and the team down there, their passion, their commitment, and their risk management was so much value add. Next. As Don mentioned, these are changes in design, and these were in the 5 communities that the project had, villages that were implemented. And next. And you can see the contentment, the trust, and the relationships that were built with our teams down there. So the last person I'd love to just comment on is Judy. She not only is the best at putting reports together, but she spent the last 2 weeks or 4 weeks taking about 1,000 pages of documents that we've brought over the years and summarizing it as a commissioned report for District Governor Patricia McLeese. And maybe, Judy, if you could also comment on the value of keeping good receipts, and a program officer who's out of the Central America office. You have 2 minutes.
Ashok had trouble with the Rotary International because they are very particular. Everybody receipt that you get in one of these projects you're supposed to hang on to. Most people don't understand that and they get into trouble at the final end when they're supposed to be able to show all these receipts. It was a pain, but anyway, yeah, it was our district governor that kept coming back to the grants committee up in Minneapolis or St. Paul and asking, she said, they're doing wonderful things with these projects and nobody knows about them. Would you please write up a little story, a little story about these projects? They're really, we want people to know about them. And I kept saying to them up there, I said, this stove project is something pretty special. And they say, yeah. And then we go another month and, well, this was really pretty special. Yeah. And then finally they said, if you think it's so good, you write it. So there I was. I'm not a writer. I mean, I write reports. I don't write stories. So it was great fun. I will tell you this, but we're working together, and it is the matter that we're all working together. We're going to try to get a story out to District Governor McLeese next week. I hope. Get it out of here. And I don't know what she'll do with it, but it is an amazing story of what they've done. It really has. They've given you just bare outlines. There's a lot here to do. It's worth reading what they've done. It's a remarkable story.
Thank you, Judy. Converting our grant project into story is a different skill set. And, Sarah, you know it. I have appreciated the full spectrum of what it takes to birth an idea, to work with great teammates, and then to tell the story. And what I hope we can share back with you is this is a lifelong change in attitude and impact that all of us have the right and the privilege to share in as constructive a way to build better communities, but then also to build peace. And this is our district grant summary that we did a few years ago. So we're hoping we can get Mark Droops and to create the poster that we need from the data for the global grant. So we have time for a couple of questions if people would like. And on your desk, the other thing we left is future forward is eco-literacy. And so one step that we left as a challenge for the group there is how do you start having conversation at the level of high school students on environmental health. And so one is in Spanish and one is in English. It's just an example of how we translate and what these terms mean. But if you want to take those and engage your own children or grandchildren with environmental eco-literacy, this might be a good place to start. And it does have an impact. It will continue to have an impact. So time for 2 questions if anyone has. Caroline?
So I just have a quick comment. I think this would be a wonderful story in the Rotary magazine. And so maybe talking to Patricia.
I'm hoping she'll think of that, but it's hers. She commissioned it. It goes to her.
Okay.
So Meryl,
It's outside the box. You never know.
Meryl, sorry, I'll just speak for those online. I think Jenna's still online. And Marilyn mentioned putting it into the Rotary magazine, and Judy said Patricia may do that.
I hope she will.
Thank you. Any other comments? So if not, we are close to end. I just want to thank John for being at the table back there. Did you want to make a comment about swag orders or?
Shirts, we don't have enough to order. We got ordered 12 each. And we got 6 with black shirts with pockets, 9 with leather pockets, and 24 hats.
All right. So if you want to order from Rotary Swag, John's looking for more so we can get an order submitted. Thank you. And leftover food, if people are welcome to box it up and take it for dinner. Let's see, Sherston for technical support. Who was greeting? Audrey for the four-way test. And we'll call it a day. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Let's create hope in the world. Yes.